One thing you might say is that there is a dimension of your experience at any moment that you've ever been alive, which is already, quote unquote, practicing choiceless awareness or non-dual awareness, non-dual presence. So, hearing the sound of my voice, feeling the sensations of your body. So, the sensation of your breathing, for instance, as it appears, as any sensation appears at the moment of its appearing, it doesn't appear with an inside and an outside. It doesn't appear with a watcher and the thing watched, a meditator, the thing meditated upon. Or another way of saying it is, can you find a place where the hearing of my voice ends and my voice begins? And this is true of any sound or sight or sensation whatsoever, that its very appearance is made out of vividness. And what makes things not seem to be made out of vivid clarity is just this habit of meddling with them, basically. And so it's very easy for meditation to become a subtler case of meddling, a subtler case of picking and choosing and conceptualizing the nature of one's experience. So I kind of want to say it two ways, so I said that the sound of my voice arises without an inside and an outside. This is true also of a thought or an emotional complex, a complex of body sensation and thought that gives the impression of a particular emotion. Any of these things, you probably will not find any location, any static location of the perceiver. There is just this arising. But another way you could say it is to, and this is why I like the phrase illumination, for carrying connotations that observing or mindfulness or even like listening do not carry, is that all of these have a little more suggestion of somebody doing something, some center, some location that is looking at another location, observing, listening to, etc. Whereas illumination, it's just like the light of the day or whatever. And so this is the meditation that is already going on. Things are already illuminated by this utterly gentle, quiet openness. So therefore, choiceless awareness or non-meditation, etc., the various names for it, it's just letting this happen a little more. So in terms of practical tips of what that means, definitely at the level of the body, it tends to be associated with a sense of sinking, the weight sinking lower in the body, relaxing, and therefore the upper body being kind of light and free and open, the face smoothing out, the brow which was furrowed with efforts of thinking, efforts of solving problems, efforts of trying to meditate, trying to pay attention, quote unquote, pay attention. So it's associated with this settling of weight, and it's simultaneously associated with a sense of expansion at the level of the body. So there's a sense of just releasing any held area, releasing any grasping. And this is true equally of the body and of the attention, of thought or the mind. In both cases, you just release all focus points, release all efforts to pay attention or not pay attention to anything in particular. So you can let attention range as freely as it does. You can let one thing be more vivid and another less vivid without any restraint to the flow of this river. And just notice again and again when there is an impulse to make an effort, and notice how that is associated with a contraction in the body and with a feeling of being located in some thought, some problem solving. And I was going to say, and then you relax that. But if you get really close, it's not even that then you relax that. It's that just upon noticing vividly that this is happening, it relaxes. This is kind of the key, that all your problems are taken care of by just noticing, just seeing things just as they are without further interference. If you let your experience be just as it is, you will perceive it unobscured. So maybe this is a good moment to see if anybody has any comments, observations, or questions. Tell me anything that I've said, for instance, that doesn't make as much sense as it could, or anything like that.
Does a relaxed body go with a relaxed mind?
I would say there's a very strong correlation between the two. Yeah. But then again, there can be a state of openness, of not clinging to thoughts. For instance, I notice this if I've had a bit too much coffee, that the body will not be entirely at ease, and also thoughts will be firing a little more quickly. But there can still be a condition of not reacting to any thought. So a thought comes and it's made of as vivid light, of as vivid awareness as anything else, and it doesn't turn into a story. It doesn't become daydreaming. So I wouldn't, judge my experience. Sometimes your body will be tense, sometimes not, and it isn't an automatic sign that you're meditating or not. I mean, the fact is that at any moment, the bottom of your experience is nothing but meditation. So meditation is always going on. So it's just a matter of letting this pervade your whole experience so that you can perceive it clearly and be unmistaken that clarity is the makeup of everything. So like, things seem not to be made out of clarity because you're trying to look around them, trying to get past them to see something else. If you let things be just as they are and speak for themselves in precisely the way that they're appearing, then they're made out of nothing but their clear appearance. They appear just the way they are, without any further effort to look to the right of them, look to the left of them, to take a stance as the meditator. So part of what I was saying about releasing focus points, releasing efforts to solve problems, to pay attention to anything self-consciously, it also means that the sense of a vantage point, which was always illusory, often behind the eyes kind of sense, or sometimes in the chest or whatever, but upper body kind of sense that here is central command, here is the control tower. You can let that relax too. That's part of letting focus points relax. What was your question again?
Well, that was it. I was wondering if a relaxed body helps lead to a relaxed mind.
Oh, yeah. I would say it certainly does, but it's also true that in an instant of just perceiving the totality of what's here, including the tension of the body and the tension of thought or whatever, in an instant of perceiving that, it will relax. So, maybe not utterly. There may still be bits that are tense or whatever, but so it's this way of relating to one's experience is really it's radically different, because you're not assuming that there's anything wrong with any phenomenon that arises. You're just suspending that assumption. In a certain way, everything is a perfect expression of itself, and so you let things be as they are. So it's radically different, but it's also nearer than near, but it's so different from the usual way of It's always sorting all phenomena into phenomena to be kept and phenomena to be thrown out, phenomena to be held onto.
Some of this reminds me of memories as a child, of just perceiving things without necessarily thinking ahead and acting.
Say, can you give an example of a time? I think that's very much the right track.
Well, hanging out on the porch glider with no particular thing to do, and just feeling the warm air around me, and a sort of sense of timelessness.
Yeah.
That would be really
Yeah, I think that actually probably many people have tasted this more in an unpressured moment when there was no attempt to meditate, because otherwise people get these self-conscious ideas of what it means to meditate. And so yeah, definitely being at ease, no agenda, then it's more likely to reveal itself. And another point I wanted to make is that, so let's say you're following the breath deliberately, which by the way, often if you're really quite open to your experience, the breath is a large part of sensation, and it's going to often present itself vividly. So although this isn't a breath meditation, it definitely doesn't exclude the breath or exclude sound or exclude anything. But so it seems to me that there can be at least a danger of a subtle conceptualization when you're following the breath, or two subtle conceptualizations. The one I mentioned of imagining that there is a director of attention somewhere, someone who's doing this. And then also just the separation of this sensation from others. Whereas if I really relax all focus points and vantage points, then all my senses functioning together to make the world and the body and mind appear, you could say in a certain way they're a single sensation. At this instant, there is a single sensation, So what does this single sensation look like if I don't meddle with it at all? What is this single sensation like? It's definitely unnameable, and it's definitely ever shifting. And like all appearances slide so freely into one another and into disappearance. I'm not saying this is a special meditative state. I'm saying this is always the state of affairs, which you can notice when you relax conceptualization. That all sounds, sights, etc. are part of one sort of multifaceted sensation, perception, that slide into each other. So abundantly rich and also insubstantial. Nothing stays for even an instant. Okay, so anybody have further thoughts? I hope you do. Questions or from the start. Also, does anybody have a thing with which? Oh no, I used my watch. Never mind. I should have brought a bell.
I have a timer.
You have a timer?
Yeah.
So whereas attention moves from here to there, awareness is already right here, right inside of everything. And awareness, you could also say, is without seeing, without transition. It illuminates without stops and starts, without any impediment, totally unimpeded. So we're just allowing this, which is already the case, to pervade our experience more.